All right, our next one is from Lasers, and it's titled Star Citizen's Emptiness. It's a feature, not a mistake. And I think this is really interesting from a Star Citizen based channel is the emptiness of Star Citizen, as someone who's tried to play it, is not very fun. So let's see where they're going with on how it's a feature, because yeah, it's not. But maybe they could change my mind.
Just last night, as of writing this video, we got to see a huge deep dive into the gameplay of Starfield, which has been on my mind ever since. And while it's not even been 24 hours yet, I don't think a game has stuck in my mind pre-release like this for a long time. I just don't get hyped for things anymore. I don't ever feel the anticipation for new games until night of release. I assumed it was really just part of being older and being busier and not having time to dwell on the hype train. But that might not be the case, because with Starfield, after this latest 45-minute showcase, I'm totally enamored. It looks like the next truly important video game release. If you want to see my full reaction to the entire showcase, I did stream it, so I'll link the VOD down in the description. It's my reaction to the entire Xbox showcase, but if you want to go to the Starfield bit, you can. It was a lot of fun, so there's that if you want it. Knowing Bethesda, I can't imagine a world where the game doesn't release in an entirely fucked state, but as long as there's substance underneath, I can probably live with that. I mean, we did it with Skyrim, right? And with Fallout 3, and with Oblivion, and with... But ignoring the potential of buggy release, there is one element of its makeup as a game that has been a point of contention now since its initial reveal way back when, and that is that the game seems empty. And look, negative space is something frequently used in open world games, whether that's the fields you ride across in The Witcher 3 or just the tundra outside of Whiterun in Skyrim. There will always be empty space in open worlds, mainly because that's how you build a believable world. Not everything can be content everywhere all the time. You need transitional areas you move through to get from activity to activity. But in something like Starfield, it's punched up a notch because the game's centrality is emptiness. I understand why people would be wary. 1,000 planets is a lot of planets. I understand why people feel this might not work, and you're right to be skeptical. I'd never want to dismiss skepticism and tell you you're wrong for not being sure.
Are we going to go to all 1,000 in a single playthrough? Probably not, right?
Or about a AAA game delivering on its merits. That's a valid position. In fact, in a lot of ways, I think the game almost looks too good to be true. I'm going to need to have this shit proved to me when it releases.
Yes.
But I also want to provide an alternate perspective, because I think there is more to the design and makeup of Starfield and how emptiness isn't a byproduct of its setting or an oversight. It's actually a central feature.
Okay.
Mass Effect is one of my favorite franchises.
Same.
It's one of my favorite fictional universes, and the way that it's structured is to get you to the point as quickly and efficiently as possible. You're aware you're within a larger galaxy.
The fact there hasn't been a Mass Effect show, movie, anything is like pretty insane, right?
You know it exists, but you seldom visit it, experience it up front. You essentially fast travel to points of interest, and the clever writing and world building allows for the contextualization of your place within a much larger galaxy. They are wonderful games. But there's one element of the very first Mass Effect that I always feel is of great importance to the feeling of world building that Mass Effect 2 and 3 don't quite manage to mirror, and that's the existence of explorable, uncharted worlds. In Mass Effect 1, you can find these planets which are yet to be explored or colonized, and you can land on them. Get out your incredibly finicky truck and drive across the surface, finding tons of random little things, points of lore, stories to discover or follow up on, stuff to fight, but most importantly, isolation. These uncharted worlds are so different from the main story content that it's almost jarring, but in the best possible way, something
wasn't
can be
important.
jarring. To allow for this ability to visualize the greater world that you've been moving around in so quickly, there are these corners of continents on planets in the
Dude, I just wanted to get it done. I just wanted to get whatever I needed down there, hit everything on the map, and then come back.
Corners of star systems, in the corners of a galaxy at large that exists, and you are sitting in one right now. It conveys a sense of scale that nothing else in Mass Effect truly does, in a way that's tangible before your eyes, and it's this that Starfield is also trying to achieve. Years later, with greater technology, it can truly go for that, with 1,000 different planets, with their climate and biomes being determined by their distance to the sun,
feel really
with the
alien.
planets all orbiting around a star, with their day and night cycle being influenced by that orbit. It creates a universe worth exploring, just to feel that feeling that Mass Effect managed to achieve 16 years ago in a totally new way.
Okay.
When you step out of your ship onto a new world for the very first time, that feeling will be immense. As you take your first steps somewhere you might end up calling home, as you explore the forests or deserts or snowy mountain peaks, as you discover the flora and fauna, it'll be the ultimate sense of immersion created by the fact that you could have landed on any planet, but you chose this one. And just by that chance alone, this is where you ended up. Chance is important to games like this. The chance that anything can happen, or nothing can happen. It's what makes the things you end up doing mean so much more.
It's interesting.
In Skyrim, you can walk...
I don't know, I just don't play games that way. Like, I want to get to the story. I get tied to the worlds and the places that I'm playing in a different way. Walking around them and them being empty isn't really what I'm looking for personally.
From Whiterun to Windhelm, and nothing might happen, but also so much could happen too. It's a chance. It's not scripted, it's not curated or preordained. There are things that can just happen, and Starfield is the ultimate exploration of that design philosophy. By making every single planet explorable, it means there are a million chances for things to happen, but equally as many.
But I think most of them, nothing will happen. You're going to look at them. We saw the UI of there's chlorine over here, there's sulfur over there, and you're going to go down, you're going to build a base, and you're going to extract those materials to do things, right? So I think that they're setting the expectations right, and I think this guy might be setting those expectations for himself a bit too high. That's the feelings that I'm getting here.
Chances for them to not. These chances are what govern Bethesda's worlds and what reel us back in every single time. Space was always the final frontier for the types of games that they make, and to push the foundations of a Bethesda game studio's game to its limits, and put to the test everything they've learned over the years of working with Elder Scrolls and Fallout. One of the key aspects of the simulation and exploration of space as a video game environment is isolation. To be in a vast sea of unknowns with undiscovered territory just within reach, to sit in your ship drifting in space, to gaze out at the stars and to feel alone.
I don't think it's to feel alone. Maybe it's to feel small. You have to feel small in a space game for it to make sense. Because us on Earth, what's so unique and what's so special about space is how small we are in comparison to the universe and the things that are out there. So I think I get what he means there now a little bit more, and I think that that's an important thing. But I don't think an empty moon does that necessarily.
But it's not a fearful sort of alone. It's not loneliness, it's tranquil. It's
like what was good about Mass Effect,
and you can't really deliver.
What Mass Effect did well with that is, as a human, you felt small. As a human, you felt less intelligent in their universe. I think the way that they told the story and the characters and the different alien races was how I felt small instead of like physically small.
In a smaller and more traditional open world, and this feeling alone is worth what Starfield is trying to accomplish. For you to be so far from any sense of civilization, to truly feel isolated and in a situation where you have to fend for yourself in places you didn't even know existed. This is the promise of Starfield, and this is how it uses emptiness in a way that bolsters the experience, to convey the sense of boundless freedom and vastness of space that only somewhere like space can actually offer. No Man's Sky is a game that acts as a close analog, and after the patches, updates, and expansions, it's almost as if that game lost an element which made it resonate with me so much on release.
Really?
The emptiness of No Man's Sky on release was one of the true alluring things about it. The vastness, but also the emptiness. It just gave you time to sit and reflect and think. Sadly, that allure was somewhat fleeting and at the cost of actual things to do.
Weird.
Starfield looks to remedy this by
feeling
balancing your things to do with the opposite. And by doing so, you make nothing, you make emptiness.
100% this guy plays Star Citizen. 100%.
A core feature of your game's experience.
He's
going
to be triple goddess in no time
really
once he finds out about it.
I do think there is a game on a smaller scale that has come close to this feeling though, and that's Red Dead Redemption 2. It manages this sense of isolation and tranquility within the New Austin area. The entire game is set in a completely different part of the map, with organic events happening, stuff to stumble across, missions and quests and people to speak to. But when you go to New Austin, at the end of the game, after you finish the epilogue, as you wander the plains or stroll through Armadillo or make your way down to Tumbleweed, you feel truly alone. It's not a sense this area ever gave off in Red Dead Redemption 1. I mean, it's the main area of that game's map. It's where all the stuff happens. But in Red Dead Redemption 2, it's the total opposite. It's not the main map. It's this area that is so completely dead compared to the main world space. But that is precisely what makes it feel so completely alive. As you move around, you feel content to think, to ponder, to reflect. It's the video game equivalent to going for a walk in the woods at sunrise. Nobody else around, just you. It's somewhat transcendental without getting too deep.
I can't connect myself, like I try to, I guess, to connect myself to the character that I'm playing in the game or whatever. I cannot connect myself in that way to sit on the top of a mountain because I think he'll do this for an extended period of time, it sounds like, and feel connected in that way. I can go and look and go, wow, like this image, what I'm seeing on the screen is beautiful, but I cannot create the same connection that I do in the real world when I hang out outside in a beautiful place. No, Big Matt,
I'll point you over to a fantastic video specifically focused on how Red Dead Redemption 2 handles this concept by Jacob Geller. Odds are you've already seen it, or at least noticed it recommended. Go watch it, you really won't regret it. Starfield isn't just a game about isolation though, it's just an aspect of its emptiness that I feel is deeply valuable in a game of this nature. But what it also does is use emptiness to give the opposite more meaning. When you encounter something in the middle of nowhere in Skyrim, it feels meaningful because you feel like you stumbled across something totally random.
That's really good point.
And I love that feeling. But how does that feeling sweeten when placed in a world the size of Starfield's? Well, I can't be sure, but what I'm hoping is that the meaning increases tenfold.
Like when you see something, it gets
in the
wild,
darkness
right?
of space and come across a ship that you can communicate with and potentially board for conversation.
Yeah.
To be on a seemingly empty world and come across a settlement full of people to trade with, to talk to, with potentially quests to uncover. To dock at a space station and explore the huge interior. All of these things just waiting, not made for you, but existing independent of you. You just happen to come along. There are so many more things that make Starfield exciting, from ship customization to the companion system to the character creation or even the main story, but those things are far more obviously fun. They're traditionally fun. But what I think truly sells this experience to me is the incredible magnitude of the world that creates such a unique feeling. In doing what they've done, in using Emptiness, I feel Starfield is managing to create a truly immersive, grounded, and worthwhile open world space exploration RPG.
Okay,
this
we'll
of course
see.
Won't be for everyone. Some people just prefer snappy content, stuff to be happening every 40 seconds. That's fair too. But
It's weird.
I
don't need that, but the value that he's placing on the Emptiness, I think, is too high.
The ability to go off and just linger in places nobody else has ever been to feel the true sense of discovery and, in a way, find purpose, to lose yourself in a vast, unknowable void of chance.
Okay.
Thank you so much for watching this small, short video. I hope you enjoyed and liked what I had to say. There's plenty in Starfield that's exciting. I'm looking forward to a ton of different things from this game, but I think this was something that spoke to me when watching that Starfield Direct, which, like I said, you can check out my full reaction to that with the link in the description. It hit me in a way where I just thought, wow, this is very unique, very different in the way that they're balancing content and lack of content is in itself content. Like,
but we don't know.
In itself, it creates an experience that is probably only...
Like, the one thing that they really didn't show a lot of is the really empty, very simple, probably no atmosphere type planets and moons where you will go and just get resources.
Measured up to by something like the way Red Dead Redemption 2 handles New Austin. It's very interesting, and I'm wondering whether it's going to hold up, 50 hours in, for example. When I go to an uncharted planet, am I still going to feel that sense of
a lot of people are talking about Starfield as if they've played it.
Is it going to become old? I really hope not. I really hope it continues to feel strong even that far into the game. Even if it's in a slightly different sense. Who knows? I know I don't...
Kidding Man says, I think I get what he's meaning. It's so hard in the busy day-to-day, especially in a city, to truly disconnect from it all and sit in an empty silence of the wilderness and just soak up nothing as a recharge of source. Yeah, in real life. For me, I can't make the same connection in a video game. Good for him that he can. I'm not going to sit here and make fun of the guy. I think he would love Star Citizen for that reason, because there's just vast emptiness everywhere, and you can be connected to that emptiness very easily. But the city and the purpose of a city doesn't exist in a game like that. So it's just not something I can do, right?
To make
I don't understand
smaller essays and these smaller videos these days, I'm usually focusing on the large ones. But I really did just want to talk about this. I'm not sure what type of videos I'll make when Starfield comes out.
Skill
Obviously,
issue, maybe.
It's difficult to compete with all of the early reviews when you make the content that I do and when you don't get provided with a code, so early that you're able to work on something like that. So whether I make a full video on Starfield is yet to be seen. Although I did really like working on my Skyrim video for the 10-year anniversary of that, which is now demonetized. So that's really sad. But let me know your thoughts on Starfield. Let me know if this video opened you up to a new perspective, or whether I just, talked to something that you already sort of felt. I like talking about these specific things in games, because there's a lot of things that I think are very meaningful, and it was one of the things that I really enjoyed talking about in my retrospective for the first Assassin's Creed, is talking about things that maybe people don't appreciate a great deal, or things that are contentious that I think actually has a lot of deep.
I feel like I've seen this trailer 500 times now.
Reasoning behind the design, and this was just kind of like a fun little script to write, I think. Maybe I'll try to do some more of this. It depends. I don't really know. Smaller videos on my channel don't tend to perform super well. It's usually the big videos that have more of a chance of, doing bits and performing well and having people see it. But this is stuff I enjoy too, so I'm sure I'll do some of it here and there. Anyway, I got plenty of stuff in the works, plenty of stuff coming. I am working on, obviously this year, a Red Dead Redemption 2 retrospective, so I'm sure I'll delve more into that, the feeling that I talked about in this video that Red Dead 2 can give you, and, every other aspect of it. That's going to be a really, really fun video, along with, of course, GTA 5, Spider-Man, and some other bits here and there. Anyway, thank you all so much. Thank you to my patrons. I really appreciate you continuing to support me. I love you. I think you're bloody wonderful. You're marvelous. Thank you so much. To anyone that's new to Patreon, thank you so much for hopping over to Patreon. I really appreciate you. If you're watching this on Patreon, I love you. Bloody fantastic. And thank you very much to my Patreon producers and Master Assassins. Cabbage, Ethan, Arenathon, Carl Frederick Wibro, Conocidal Sam. Wait, dude's not paying my water bill anymore. What the hell, man? Damien the Not So Orange Gnome, Flash Paradox, and TJ. And with that, I'll see you in the next one, folks. Have a good one, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.
All right, interesting. The I just, again, I cannot connect to a game the way that he does. And that's really what it comes down to. I don't think Emptiness of the game is going to be good. I think it's going to be things that I'm going to try to like get through as quickly as possible to get to more side quests, more stories, more lore, more. That's how I ground myself in the world, is learning about it. And I can't learn about anything that is super empty, right? So that's how I feel, but I can totally see where he's coming from and how he might feel, and that's fine too.